Okay, today we're going to be talking about section 2.8, which is graphing inequalities, either linear or absolute value. So, pretty much, if you're an inequality, you have these four symbols: less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Okay? A boundary line is either a solid or a dotted line where the shading starts and stops. Okay? So that's what makes it an inequality. All right? The solid line is only used for the less than or equal to or greater than or equal to symbols. And it says that it can be that value. It can touch the line completely. Indicates that all the values of the line are possible solutions. A dotted line, it cannot touch the line, and that means that the values that are on the line are not solutions to the problem. And you are only going to use less than or greater than symbols for that dotted line. So there are two questions you have to ask yourself. Is the line solid or dotted? And is the shading above it or below it? Whenever I say above, I mean pick any point. So the first one, is the line solid or dotted? Solid line, dotted line. We just talked about which ones to use. Is the shading above or below the line? Now, when I say that, I mean pick any point. Any point on the line. If the shading's above that point, then that means it's greater than. If the shading below that point, that means it's less than. Okay? So, with that being said, above than means greater than or equal to, below than means less than or equal to. So here we go. I give you this. It says find the inequality represents the graph. I am not asking you to find the equation. The equation of that line is given to you. What you have to do is replace the equal sign with one of these four inequality symbols. Okay? So, is the line solid or dotted? It is a dotted line. So since it's a dotted line, you can immediately say, can't be those two options. Now pick a point on that line. Is the shading for that point below it or above it? And since it's below it, below means less than, so therefore your inequality is going to be y is less than negative x minus 2. If you're not certain what I just said, choose another point. There's another point on that line. The shading's below it. Choose another point. The shading's below it. So therefore, you replace the equal sign with the less than symbol. Let's do it again. 2y is equal to the absolute value of 2x plus 6. Do not care what the equation is. I'm going to ask myself two questions. Is it solid or dotted? This is a solid line. So since it's solid, I get rid of those two options. Yes? Now, is the shading above or below? So choose any point on that graph. The shading is above that point. The shading is above that point. The shading is above that point. So above means greater than or equal to. So your answer is going to be 2y is greater than or equal to the absolute value of 2x plus 6. That is what that means. Okay? Now, I want you to find the equation and make it into an inequality. So this is a vertical line. Well, according to our slope pick back in the day, positive, negative, 0, undefined. This has y equals mx plus b. This is y is equal to a number, and this is x equals a number. Do you remember that? We talked about that in section 2.3 and 2.4. Okay? So this is 1, 2, 3. So that equation is x equals 3. It is a vertical line. Okay? Now, is it solid or dotted? It is dotted. My dotted options are going to be less than or greater than. Okay? Now we're going to ask, is the shading above or below? Okay? Now, you're going to say, Mrs. Yoder, it's a vertical line. Above or below, I can't be above a vertical line or below a vertical line. You're right, but you can be to the right or to the left. If you're going to the right, the numbers are greater than, so above would be right, and below would be left. Okay, that's what I need your brain to understand. This shading is to the left, and all the numbers to the left of 3 are smaller than 3, so therefore this is x is less than 3, and you are done. Okay? All right, so now, how do I actually graph an absolute value inequality? Well, we just learned about how to graph absolute values, so now we're going to go right back to that. So we're going to go back and say, what is my a value? My a value is negative 2/3. What does that mean? That means it opens down, it is reflected, It is a mountain, and it has a maximum. That's what that means. My axis of symmetry is found by taking x minus 1 equal to 0, so x is equal to 1, and that is my h value. My k value is going to be 3 to give me a vertex of 1, 3. And we said that is a maximum. And then we are going to graph this mountain by having a negative 2/3. So that means I'm going to go down 2 and left and right 3. But we're going to add 2 more things to that. The 2 things we're going to add is, what is my inequality symbol? It is a less than, which means it is dotted. And which does less than mean? Does it mean I shade above, or do I shade below for less than? That means I shade below for a less than. Okay, so all of that information we just got. So I'm going to graph the point 1, 3. That puts me here. And I'm going to use going down 2 units and to the right 3, down 2 units and to the right 3, down 2 units and to the right 3, down 2 and to the left 3, down 2 and to the left 3, down 2 and to the left 3. Okay? So now I have to connect them. But this says to connect them with a dotted line. It says to connect them with a dotted line. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to get my dotted line, and I'm going to connect them with a dotted line. Then it says to shade below every one of my points. Well, do you see this point? Start shading below it. So that means I only want the inside of the mountain. I am not wanting any of the outside. I am not wanting any of the outside. So I want all of the inside. Okay, so that is that inequality. Okay, so now find the inequality. I'm giving you a picture. I need you to come up with the equation and turn it into an inequality. So the very first thing you want to do is find the equation of that line. Well, the equation of that line has this point right here. That is your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is 0b, which just happens to be 0. And this is going by 2 units, so that's going to be 2, 4. So be very careful of your scale here. This is going by 2 units, so that's 0, 4, okay? So then I need to find another point. So this is going up 1, 2, 3, 4 units, and then going over 1, 2 units to the left. So it's going downhill, so my slope is negative 2. So my equation is y equals negative 2x plus 4. But do you see this right here? I have to get rid of that equal sign, and I need to turn it into an inequality. So I asked myself 2 questions. Is the line solid or dotted? The line is solid, which means I am utilizing less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. From this point, is the shading above it or below it? It is above it, so above means greater than. So y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 4. Okay? Let's do that again. This time we're going to do it with an absolute value. So I have to find this equation. Now let's look at the scale. The scale is going by 1s this time. So I need my vertex. My vertex is the point negative 1, negative 2. Or nope, it's not. I lied. It is negative 1, negative 1. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to find a point. Well, that point looks great. So that means I'm going to rise up 1 unit and go to the right 1 unit. So my slope is 1. Is it a positive 1 or a negative 1? Is it a valley opening up being positive or a mountain opening down being negative? The answer is it is a valley, so therefore I have y is equal to a absolute value of x minus h plus k. So a is 1, h is negative 1, and k is negative 1. So y is equal to the absolute value of x plus 1 minus 1. So now this equal sign needs to be replaced with an inequality symbol. So is my line solid or dotted? It is dotted. Since it is dotted, I'm going to use less than or greater than. From these points, is the shading above it or below it? It is above it. So above it means greater than. So y is greater than the absolute value of x plus 1 minus 1, and that is your inequality that you should be looking for. Tonight's homework is 2.8, worksheet 1, graphing linear and absolute value inequalities.